I've collated the answers to hopefully all the chat box, and hopefully we'll be able to cover everything here. So the first question on Twitter was who to follow on Twitter. So here are just some of the things that I personally do to choose people to follow on Twitter. I think it's very individualized. So the two main areas I would consider would be if the account is of interest to you, and that could be whether it's educational or it's entertaining. So it's really tailor-made to what suits you and what you're interested in learning. How do you find these educational or entertaining people on Twitter? Well, you can search the people. So if you know a certain person who is on Twitter, you can search by name, provided the names are not very common, because if you search, for example, John Smith, there will be a long list of John Smiths there, so it can be tricky. Another way of searching for interesting accounts to follow is to use the hashtag, which I mentioned earlier. So if you search hashtag of interests or keywords, so for example, if you search for rheumatologists, you will probably get a whole long list of people who are rheumatologists. But you can also search for other keywords like arthritis, and you can come up with topics related to that. RheumJC is a hashtag for the Rheumatology Journal Club that happens every so often. And again, by using this hashtag, you can have a meeting on the journal club on a particular subject where you can interact with fellow followers. Somebody has just typed in the chat box FOAMed. Again, this is free open access, so available to all, which is an interesting keyword to search for very educational material as well. And finally, you can follow a conference as well. So EULAR 2021, hopefully coming up in June, which is virtual. If you search for that, you can follow the topics and relevant people who tweet using the hashtag who may be of interest to you. The other way, again, this is not unique to Twitter, but obviously applies to what you've already heard on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Check their credibility. So often they may have a doctor or a professor in terms of the title. They often have a profile picture that is professionally done. And definitely check out their biography, because it will tell you about them and whether they are of interest to you. Another tip is to follow these professionals and see who they follow, because it is likely that who they follow is of interest to you as well, and you may be able to follow them. Another way of finding people to follow on Twitter is that Twitter can also help you. So often on the Twitter page is a column on the right-hand side of the page that suggests people that you can follow. If you click on the show more function, it will tell you more people you can follow. And here's the suggestions for me to follow. And basically this is based on who I already follow. And so they are finding people related to people I follow, just in case I'm interested in these other people. There are other categories that Twitter will suggest to you. So people that I may know, and these are mainly people who my followers already follow. It also suggests people to follow based on my activity. Now, I have another account called Eileen Runner on Twitter. So because I interact quite a lot with my other self, so the suggestion here for me to follow are people whose main interest is in running. And then finally, Twitter also suggests some other accounts that I may be interested in following. Somebody asks about lists. So lists are very useful in helping you to organize your timeline, I think, because if you follow thousands of people, you're inundated with so many tweets, it can be very difficult to focus your attention. Another useful function of lists is that you can collate all the people of a particular interest. So here is a list that I have collected of almost 600 rheumatologists who tweet. And within that list, you can follow and you can find who are these people. And on the phone is a slightly different function, because if you have Twitter on your phone, it displays as the three dots on the top, and if you click on that, you can get a list as well. And these are just some of the tweeting rheumatologists of all of the almost 600 people. And if you click on that, you will be able to find people of interest that you would like to follow. Somebody asks about TweetDeck. TweetDeck is very interesting. If you have a Twitter account, you can literally search TweetDeck and open it, and it is a great way for organizing and sort of categorizing your tweets. Because Twitter has so many pages and so many functions, you can create a personalized page like so, where you can follow multiple functions of Twitter all in a one page. And one other thing about TweetDeck is that it allows you to schedule tweets. And what I would say is that you probably do not need to use TweetDeck to schedule tweets. So here is one that you can do on the tweet box, and you can schedule tweets to come out anytime. Tweeting videos. Somebody asked about tweeting videos. So clicking on the picture icon again allows you to put on a video. The only thing is that the video length is limited, so you have to truncate your very long video before posting it. Is there something I should avoid talking about on Twitter? Well, I think it's obviously common sense. You probably wouldn't want to say anything on Twitter that you wouldn't want to say to any of your colleagues or professionals or even patients. So I would suggest that you think carefully, read your tweet, make sure that it's no insensitive material, no different to any other social media platform like Facebook, YouTube, or Instagram before you start tweeting. So be sensitive, be very careful about sharing any material related to patients, and absolutely be cautious about what you tweet about, because somebody, so I'll just go back, somebody mentioned about interaction with patients. My personal take on that is that I do interact politely with patients. Patients do ask me about their personal health questions, of which, just like if you bump into a stranger on the street and they ask you about their knee arthritis, because you do not know their background, there is very limited you can tell them. So I'm very diplomatic about responding to them and suggest that they seek their healthcare professional for personal answers. And then finally, just a bit on how else I use Twitter, and I'm glad to hear about the YouTube talk, because here is a manuscript that we published recently on in the Lancet Rheumatology about the pandemic, and how we actually converse with our patients. Because of lockdown, patients weren't coming to see us. They were very confused about do's and don'ts of the pandemic. So what we did was we created a video, we uploaded on YouTube. So here is another one of many manuscripts on PubMed that has the YouTube word in the article. We then shared it on Twitter. So we absolutely utilize social media in how we interact with our patients in terms of sharing knowledge in this very, very restricted world that we live in right now. So finally, if you have further questions, you can tweet it to me and I will try to respond, or you can follow me and see how I tweet to learn some of the things that you can do on Twitter. You can obviously direct message me as well, so that your questions are not seen in public if you do not want them to. And of course, if you're interested in running tweets, you can follow my other accounts as well. Thank you.